Hello and welcome to another segment of Keeping Abreast with Karen on this gloomy Mammary Monday. But our guest today is in sunny California. Please help me welcome Grace Kim. Hi, Grace.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Very well. It's so good to see you. You look marvelous, darling.
Thank you. You do too.
Well, Grace and I met in Houston as survivors and became fast friends, very fast friends and very good friends for so many years now, and shared some life experiences and lots of laughs. But Grace has a good story regarding being a cancer survivor. So Grace, if we get started today with you sharing with our audience your discovery of breast cancer and what happened subsequently.
So this was back in 2005, and I was, in my early 40s at the time with a, I guess 6-year-old daughter and 9-year-old son around. And so, young family, and it was quite a shock to have this. The irony of it all was that I had a negative mammogram and I had a subsequent negative MRI. And
Wow.
so it was very early, but it was also kind of like, okay, I'm not that old, so how am I going to stay on top of this, And I so wish we had 3D at the time. I don't think, I don't know when 3D really started to come out, but I know that was not an option for me at the time. And now that I've learned so much about 3D, it's like, wow, every woman needs to get 3D. And I think, you just make the best decision you can at the time when it's a very personal decision. And I think, what I decide to do and what another woman decides to do is just, it's very personal. And I think one thing that was interesting that I learned is medicine's really more of an art than a science. I couldn't get the same statistics out of the same different doctors would give me different recurrence statistics or different whatever. And so that was kind of interesting. I just thought, oh, it'd be in the book. You look up this number and this is your chance of it coming back. But it just felt like they didn't know a whole lot back then in a way,
And how many years are you out now? How many years are you a survivor?
15 years. I just
That's
had my
amazing.
15th
Congratulations.
anniversary. Yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
congratulations. Yeah, a lot has changed in the last 15 years, and specifically addressing your point that everyone's cancer is so different. It is. It's like a thumbprint, and it is very individual. And we are now going to be leaning towards precision medicine in the field of medicine in every situation. That is genetic mapping, so that you get exactly the type of chemo or treatment, whatever it may be, and not just the blanket treatment that is the standard presently. So, wow, with such a young family, a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, as a mom, you're worried about being able to survive to raise your children. How did that influence your decision making?
Again, like I said, it's very personal, and I think that you just have to, I think for me it was that I was so young and I wanted to make sure I was around for my kids. And so I think when you make a decision, some of it's based on your level of how optimistic you are versus not, you know what I'm saying? Like how much you want to roll the dice and gamble against this statistic versus that. But I think the great thing was because the kids were so young, that, there was such a community of, with the kids' schools and all that. I think you really have to lean on other people when you get through this. And so
we've talked about that on other podcasts. You are surprised by the folks that step up for you that you never would have guessed would be there for you. And it's so nice to be able to pay that forward after your experience is over and after you've had a successful win with your battle. Before we started recording today, we were talking about learning how to deal with others who are going through a cancer experience. What have you found in that regard?
I think like one of the first things, the great thing about being a survivor is I get one of the first phone calls, because, and I know myself, when I got diagnosed, I just couldn't deal with the phone calls and the outpouring. It just, because I only wanted to talk to people who had been through this, because I had some decisions to make, and they're very personal decisions. And so you just want to get very, very well informed in what route you want to do. So, but one of the first things I tell survivors is that, or somebody who's been newly diagnosed, I should say, one of the first things I say is, don't be surprised if somebody you're really close to can't deal with this, and they might freak out more than you are freaking out right now. And I remember consoling a friend in the parking lot, and I was the one who got diagnosed, not her, but I'm consoling her. So, I just said, sometimes you'll be surprised that people, it's just a sign of love. They love you so much, but they have a hard time dealing with it. And I think it's balanced by these angels that are out there you may run into at the grocery store or whatever. And these people who just come out and then they check on you, and they have some nugget of information that's really crucial, or they might know some doctor or something like that. So I think it all like balances out. But I think, you really have to tap into that network and people and talk to other survivors. I think it really helped me to know, one of my neighbors said she had a 90-year-old grandmother at breast cancer. And it was just nice to hear that there was this 90-year-old woman who made it to her 90s and she had breast cancer. Right. So you need to hear these stories.
It's very uplifting, and it builds a foundation of strength that, unless you've gone through it, you can't imagine how very empowered you feel with those positive vibes. And this battle is very much a mental battle as much as it is a physical battle. And if you get your head in the right place, it makes everything work a whole lot easier. Now, at the time, your former husband, but you were married at the time, was a neurosurgeon. How was his support or influence helpful through your ordeal?
He was great in a lot of ways, because he had all the connections. I actually felt guilty because I could just get front in line from some of these hard to reach doctors, so but on the other hand, it's interesting because he's a neurosurgeon. I think it's like, this is nothing, you know what I mean? But he didn't downplay it, but it just seemed like it wasn't as compared to a brain aneurysm or something like that, and I understand where he's coming from. It's something you will get through it, you can get through this and kind of move on with your life. And I think there's a lot of other illnesses out there that you just can't get back to your old normal. So
and breast cancer is very survivable, detected early. And,
exactly.
And was it your first mammogram or one of your first mammograms?
No, it wasn't even a mammogram. I just felt something. And we're not even sure, because it was DCIS, which is in the duct, not even sure what I felt. I don't know if you can feel DCIS really. So I might have, what my former husband thought was maybe I felt a cyst, and somehow that is what,
could very well be. Well, I'm so glad that it worked out well for you, and you're enjoying living your best life right now in California. I'm a bit jealous because it's so Africa hot here today. And I know the temperatures are beautiful there.
Yeah, it is. But one thing I wanted to add too, it's not just going through this, and I'm sorry, I think there's a lawn noise in the background.
That's okay.
Here. I hope you can
we
hear
keep
me
it real. It doesn't have to be perfect.
It's Corona times, it's getting louder. I think it just helped me be a better friend to somebody going through this, and you just become a changed person. And I think that you can't always just sometimes just be with the person in the pain. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can do. The diagnosis is a diagnosis, and and you just kind of have to be there for them. I think there's some not so productive things to say, like, oh, my mother didn't have breast cancer,
Mhm.
and so I'm not worried about it. And it's like, well, at the time, 90% of the women that were diagnosed don't have a history of breast cancer. I don't know what the number is now, but back then, so
But I'm glad you mentioned that because it does change your perspective. I know myself, I was guilty of avoiding people who had been diagnosed because I just didn't know what to say and I didn't want to say the wrong thing. And and people don't want you to pretend like it isn't happening to them. They appreciate it if you acknowledge it and wish them well and offer to help. It is the better way to go. And sometimes um, when we're uncomfortable, we chicken out, so to speak, but I don't chicken out anymore.
yeah. And I think another thing is you just have to do. You just don't ask them, what can I do for you? Just do it. I mean, I
Exactly.
think when you ask somebody what to do, you're putting the burden on them to divvy. And I
Exactly.
think you just go in and you just do it. And, you know,
It's true because it's nice to say, oh, just call me. Let me know if there's anything
yeah,
I can do. Well, I'm not going to go down my list and make phone calls.
exactly.
But
Right.
when you're going through an experience like this, people don't realize you cannot grocery shop because you cannot touch raw
Right.
vegetables. You cannot touch raw meat. So making a grocery run for someone or putting
Hmm.
on a load of laundry for them or bringing them dinner is
Hmm.
hugely helpful.
Hmm.
Um, and
Yeah, to think about asking somebody to do that is too much
right.
effort. Just do
But
it.
if
Just show
just
up,
just
do
show
it,
up and
and
do it. Take their dog
hmm
for a walk, clean out their litter
exactly.
box.
And for me, it was even taking the kids. I mean,
Yes.
I had one friend who did this amazing spreadsheet, and it was like one column was for meals every day, another one was my driver every day because I couldn't drive for a couple of weeks, and the third column was like he was going to entertain my kids and stuff.
Yes.
So,
And
um,
and that is tremendous to have a friend
exactly.
and to have a network of friends because you really, really need that in that time.
Yeah. And you'll be amazed at how many other people, not just your friends, but how many other people will come out of the woodwork and, can help you, or how many other survivors there are. One time I remember, sorry, it's a neighbor's lawnmower. I can't control it
That's
here.
okay. We're
Um,
enjoying it.
but I remember one time I was at my son's school handing out pizza, and there were three other moms, and out of the four of us, three of us had been diagnosed with breast cancer. I felt bad for the one that wasn't. I mean, it's just, you don't
Hmm.
realize how many people are affected by this. And, it's just something. But, again, I go back to that personal choice. It's just like your own personal choice, what you want to do. And, you can't judge others on what you got to make the best decision for you, your own outlook on life, what technology is available at that time, um, whatever medications and all that, you
Right.
have to, I know my decision was made, I remember in 2005, and I was like, well, in 2015, I may regret this, but it's like I made the best decision I could at that time. So,
And that's what you have to do. You have to work with the information you have before you and make the best decision for you and your family. Um,
absolutely.
and
Hmm.
and I say this often that surviving breast cancer isn't exactly a club you'd sign up for, but it's a nice sorority to be in because I never would have known some of the most wonderful people I've met, including you, without having had this experience. And I'm very, very lucky to have you in my life.
Oh, me too. I'm so proud of everything you've done, Karen. I mean, with the 3D mammography and all the legislature you're doing in Louisiana.
Well,
I
thank you. And
mean,
I
you
couldn't
are
do it
such
without
an
help from,
inspiration.
I couldn't do it without a little help from my friends to seal a Beatles line.
You're right. It's not a club we chose to be in, but once you're in it and you meet a fellow survivor and you instantly connect, and what's your story and here's my story, and there's a lot of us out there, you know.
Yes,
But
there are.
my hope is with the 3D, everybody will be able to catch it early, you know.
I think we're getting there now. Yeah. And that's exciting. Well, I love you, and I thank you for taking time out
Love
of your
you
busy
to best.
schedule. And you know, when this COVID stuff is over, I'll be patiently waiting for my invitation to visit you in California, and I'll be right
Come on
out.
out anytime. I can't wait to give you a big hug.
I
So,
know, I know. I'm
and the
anxious to get
baby, I
with
want to meet
you
the
too.
baby.
Oh, you're gonna fall in love.
Oh, he
We're
looks
over
so
the
cute.
moon.
I could see that. All
All right,
right. Well,
honey. Well,
thank
take
you
good
for all
care.
you do. I
Thank
will.
you, honey. And we'll see you
All
very
right.
soon. Love you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.